This week on FRCmedia News, the COVID-19 health emergency in the United States and Massachusetts is officially over. But what does it mean for the future of dealing with the virus? MassHealth recipients will soon need to recertify their eligibility, and rising costs are causing delays in the construction of a new DIman. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, May 11th, 2023. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. After 3 years, the COVID-19 pandemic health emergency is over, effective today. Both President Biden and Governor Maura Healey made the declarations earlier this year, with the official date being today, May 11th. But what does it mean in terms of the future of the virus? We do know that the current impact in Fall River is minimal. The latest numbers reported last week by the state show that only 2 new cases of COVID were reported in Fall River last week. 35,151 total cases since March of 2020. In the winter of 2021-2022, those numbers were over 2,000 cases a week. Vaccination rates have remained level for quite some time. Tess Curran, Director of Health and Human Services for the City of Fall River, says the only change residents can expect may take place in hospitals and doctors' offices.
The main change that's going to happen throughout the Commonwealth and here is that in hospital settings, masks are no longer required by the state. They may be required by the individual facility or doctor's office, but the state no longer requires masking in those settings. So that's really the biggest piece that may impact folks or that people will see come the 11th. I have shared information regarding the wastewater data as the state has asked the hospitals to make plans for when or if they need to implement any COVID related precautions. So the hope is that the hospitals will utilize our local data if and when they need to reinstate the masking mandate if they choose.
Ms. Curran says the 3 years of the pandemic were a learning experience for everyone involved in public health.
I think we've learned a lot in terms of best practices, what worked, how we were efficient in some ways and not in others. It was quite the time for public health way back in April of 2020, when we just didn't know enough about the coronavirus. We had no idea what was transmitting, how frequently, we didn't have testing. So we have structures in place now, if anything were to come down, another type of pandemic, that we can kind of rely and fall back on some of the procedures that we had put in place or things that we had done.
Even though the COVID health emergency is over, the threat of illness remains.
We still continue to talk about COVID. We still are working on vaccine efforts throughout the community and are trying to get folks vaccinated or boosted still. So, it is still here. Our cases are really low. Our wastewater data looks, really low. So all of that's very positive. But people should still, mask if they feel more comfortable, if they are immunocompromised, or do things that make them feel better, and also just be mindful of staying home when sick. Just as a general rule of thumb, I think that week is a takeaway that we all have from COVID. It's just not worth going to the office or other locations if you have symptoms, because regardless of whether it's COVID or another kind of virus, we don't want to be transmitting that to others if we can avoid it.
Ms. Curran says she's unsure on how COVID boosters will be handled this coming winter, but those who meet certain criteria can get a second bivalent booster now.
Anybody that had received a bivalent booster, say in the the fall when it became available in early September. If you haven't received a bivalent booster within the last 4 months, then you're eligible to receive a bivalent booster, a second bivalent booster, provided you're immunocompromised or are 65 and up. And I'd encourage everybody to take advantage of that. When you're eligible, as a best practice, you want to stay up to date, so you want to get that booster as soon as you're able to.
The end of the COVID pandemic could also impact those who are covered by MassHealth. During COVID, MassHealth was expanded for some individuals, and the need for annual recertification or renewal was waived. That recertification process has returned. Health First Family Care Center in Fall River is helping the hundreds of individuals in Greater Fall River navigate the renewal process.
So a few months ago, MassHealth sent out letters to all their members, reminding them to update their information because this was going to happen, this process was going to happen. And there's been multiple campaigns around that are bringing awareness that people will have to recertify this year. Everybody that needs to recertify or renew will receive a big blue envelope in their mail. So it's very important that they have their updated information. Even if they moved, they need to call or walk into a walk-in center like Health First and have that information updated right away. And then they receive their big blue envelope. Once they do that, they can follow the instructions that comes in the package, either to renew it online, over the phone, or in person.
Not all MassHealth recipients will need to recertify all at once.
If somebody comes and applies for MassHealth in January, the date that they signed up will be their renewal anniversary. So every year on that anniversary, that's when they will renew. So April 1st will be the people that sign up in April. That's the first batch that will get it. But for example, if you came in and you signed up March 31st, you came in, you renewed March 31st again, you're going to be on MassHealth for another year until the following year. That's why this process is going to take, I think 15 to 18 months for them to get everybody renewed. So yeah, not everybody's going to renew at the same time. Not everybody's going to get that blue envelope at the same time. But just keep in mind, the month that you applied will be the month that you'll have to renew, regardless if it's this year or next year.
Once recipients receive their recertification notice, there's a strict timeline to follow to ensure benefits are maintained.
Once they receive the big blue envelope, they have 45 days to renew. In those 45 days, they can renew it and they'll get the eligibility back to MassHealth, or they'll go on to the Health Connected depending on income base. If they fail to do anything in those 45 days, they will get a notice of termination. They'll have another 14 days to renew. If they fail that, then they get terminated. Seniors will have to renew too. Seniors will be the same, the guidelines is the same. They will receive a big blue envelope. If they want to continue on MassHealth, they will have to renew, just like it was 2.5 years ago.
Residents who receive public benefits will likely be renewed automatically.
Not only calls, but we're expecting a lot of walk-ins because we do walk-ins. So, and we have seen already an increased number of people walking in with the blue envelope. We're just waiting for that first 45 days to end, and then we'll see. That's when we expect more people coming in. The best number to call with questions about insurance would be our direct line at the Patient Benefits Department, 774-627-1238.
Rising construction costs have impacted the drafting of the final plans for construction of the new DIman Regional Vocational Technical High School on Stonehaven Road. Interim Superintendent Director Brian Bentley says the increased cost of supplies was expected and the school is making adjustments.
The cost of materials from when this building was proposed to now the nuts and bolts, literally the nuts and bolts are being looked at, has risen significantly. And we know that. Steel has escalated quite a bit, among other things. And that's the highest escalation is in our steel. So we took that into account. Is it a step down? Not really. What it is a good, solid building. All the programs will be in place. Paring down a few of the extra items, such as the grandstands. Okay, we won't have them in at this go-around. We will put them in. a ticket booth for collecting activities for out on our field. So things like that that are not necessary to the total education right up front, which is our shops. You know, DIman's core is our vocational education and the shops. All the shops are staying intact. There's been nothing deleted. The student capacity, we always said that this building will hold 1,500 students. It will hold 1,500 students. That's what we're building capacity for. So the core of DIman has remained the same, and it has expanded for the communities to have 1,500 students come to attend DIman.
Mr. Bentley says the school remains in constant communication with leaders in Fall River, Somerset, Swansea, and Westport on the design and construction process, and assurances have been made that any increase in cost will not be borne by taxpayers.
The price that we told the communities, which is at $242 million, with a cost escalation up to $293, has remained the same. DIman has taken this to heart, that what we have done is looked at the building of, is there anything that we can pare down that in the grand scheme of things, this is what we wanted, but if it's going to be a cost increase to our communities, we're not going to do that. We're going to have the price stay the price of $242 with a cost escalation up to $293, because that's what was promised to the citizens of the 4 communities. We're holding to that.
Mayor Paul Coogan says getting assurances on what cities and towns will be asked to pay for the new DIman brings with it certainty and challenges.
When DIman was first proposed, I wanted to go to the voters, as we did with Durfee, but the city council thought better of it and decided to go a different way. So we'll be working with them on ways to fund this proposal coming down the road. I think it's going to be around $6 million a year. So they have told us that they're going to stay on a hard cap, and it will be no more than that. But again, that's going to be a tremendous knock to the budget, because that's a lot of money coupled with the Durfee debt exclusion. So people should just be aware of that. I mean, the neighboring communities, they're not in any kind of financial position as tough as we are on DIman. I mean, we're 75% of the bill. Those other 3 communities cut up the other 25%. So we're in another world compared to them, and we just want to make sure that the kids get the school they deserve, and we do it with the least impact on the taxpayers.
The change in plans has resulted in a short delay on when construction of the new school will begin. Mr. Bentley says residents will see activity when school lets out this June.
Over the summertime, we're going to be putting in a new parking area for our faculty members, because they're going to be displaced. We're all going to be putting in temporary barriers, which will be the construction route, as we're calling them. That'll be in place. So what should be going on very shortly, well, that when this school year comes to a close and the faculty and students leave, over the summertime, it'll be kind of a little busy hive of activity, busy beehive of activity, where the temporary preliminary material will get done, new parking places, the new route, new parking area, all that'll start taking place.
Mr. Bentley says he hopes the new school will be open in late 2026, but weather impacts and other construction delays may push that date into 2027.
What the community wants to see is where the building will be built, which is on our football field. When will that shovel be in the ground? So we are going to choose in September, early September, when it's official, that we will have the official groundbreaking, welcoming in the community to observe that. Of course, all the local politicians who made this all possible, with the support of DIman and the funding that they had told us would be forthcoming from their communities. That's when it's going to be. It'll be a celebration. We even have representatives of the shops who will be out there that we haven't chosen them yet, but representative of the students. So we're targeting which is the best group out there. I've heard, well, seniors because they're the last group, but freshmen because they're the incoming group. So it's going to be a grand event. Hard hats and shovels for everybody attending, and there'll be smiles all the way around.
We have a follow-up on the story last week on the case involving Fall River City Councilor Pamela Liberty on charges she harassed the wife of a former lover in Westport and intimidated witnesses in the police investigation. In court last week, Ms. LaLiberty admitted to the 2 misdemeanor harassment charges, with the case continued without a finding until December 29th. If she does not have contact with the victim in the case, those charges will be dropped. One of the 2 felony charges of witness intimidation was also dropped last week, with the other slated to be dropped as well at the end of the year, again, provided she does not have contact with the victim. FRCmedia legal analyst attorney Steven Sabra says both the defense and prosecution saw a benefit to striking a deal.
You have, from a defense standpoint, well, okay, my client's charged with 2 misdemeanors and 2 felonies. If we go to trial on those 4 charges, my client has a lot to lose. Okay, from a prosecution standpoint, all right, we know that the victims are not too excited about proceeding here. They've already tried to convey to the court that we'd rather not even be here. We want the charges dropped. So they have reluctant witnesses. So that kind of presents for both sides the incentive to, hey, can we work something out here? So what they did was that probably previous to the court appearance, there had already been some discussions between the defense and the prosecution as to, okay, how can we resolve this this issue that's going to be satisfactory to the prosecution and satisfactory to the defense and acceptable to the court.
If convicted on the charges, Councilor LaLiberty could have lost her seat on the city council and also her real estate license. Attorney Sabra says even though Councilor LaLiberty admitted to the harassment charges, legally it will be viewed differently.
The 2 misdemeanors were continued without a finding, so she admitted under oath that she was guilty of these 2 charges of annoying phone calls and criminal harassment. However, this continues without a finding means you admit to sufficient facts for a finding of guilty, but a finding of guilty is not entered. And in this case, it was the case, it's a form of probation, really, that you're on until December 29th, in this case, of 2023. During that time, no contact with the victim. And obviously, you can't be charged with any of the crimes during that time either. Because with regard to those 2 misdemeanors, if those terms are violated, then automatically guilty findings are entered on those 2 charges. It is a hard concept to sort of wrap your head around because the person is admitting.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the MassHire Fall River Career Center. E-commerce specialist. Rhode Island Novelty, located at 350 Commerce Drive, is looking for a full-time, experienced e-commerce specialist responsible for effectively managing the Amazon reseller channel. Job number 189-42411. Youth Care Advocate. Yole Colony YMCA, located at 199 North Main Street, is seeking a part-time youth care advocate, responsible and accountable for monitoring residents in the program and for maintaining a safe and secure environment for both staff and residents. Job number 189-38283. Billing Specialist. Boston Orthopedic, located at 307 South Main Street, is looking for a full-time billing specialist, responsible for overseeing the tasks of sending invoices to clients and monitoring outside balances. Job number 189-37383. Crew member. Wendy's, located at 35 Mariano Bishop Boulevard, is looking for a full-time crew member. For more information, call 508-674-1740. CVS Health, located at 1620 President Avenue, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Certified Nurse Aide, job number 189-51475. Night pharmacist, job number 189-33716. For more information about these and other positions, visit MassHire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the MassHire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. This Saturday, U.S. Postal Service offices in Fall River and Somerset will join the rest of the country for its annual Stamp Out Hunger campaign. The United Way of Greater Fall River is partnering with Blount Fine Foods, St. Anne's Hospital, and Bank 5 in sponsoring the collection of food items across all carrier routes.
There are more than 1 in 5 adults that identify as food insecure in our local communities. And we, and certainly our postal carriers, can see that the need is great. They see it every day. So a warm meal helps to provide the foundation to move successfully throughout the day and overcome the challenges that are made difficult when they don't have critical nourishment, a basic need. As letter carriers travel throughout our communities daily, they become familiar with the faces of those experiencing food insecurity. They are the ambassadors at the forefront of making connections. This event plays a critical role in ensuring that local food pantries stay stocked and remain a viable resource for individuals and families. If I recall correctly, Paul, last year we collected 70,000 pounds of food through this one simple gesture. One day, folks taking items out of their cupboard or going and purchasing some things from their store while they're doing groceries and filling the bags. It has a huge impact.
Local carriers say they take pride in helping meet the food security needs of the local community.
We're out in the community, you see us, we're out there 6 days a week, Sundays delivering parcels, and the community is very important to us because we see it all the time, but all we're doing on this day, nothing extraordinary, we're just being a conduit for those who can help to assist those that need help. That's all it is. It's not a big thing, but that's all we're doing. We have some customers this week that are giving us food each day. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them, they love their letter carrier. It's we'll go one day and they'll say, oh, can you bring me another bag for tomorrow? Yeah, we'll bring you another bag for tomorrow.
Personally, it's my favorite work day of the year, and I know people do get really excited, especially the more food we collect, the more excited we get. And then at the end of the day, when we see all of the accumulation, it's heartwarming to see how many people are willing to give, and it really is touching.
Residents should have already received the green biodegradable bags to fill with non-perishable food. You can leave the bag outside your mailbox to be picked up on Saturday. We will wrap up this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today with us we have Kahlua. She is a pitty mix, roughly about 2 years old. She was an owner surrender. She is very, very sweet. For a young pitty, she is fairly calm. She is food motivated and she's very gentle. She does get along with other dogs, but because she is a pit bull, she does need to be housed with another male. For kids, it would have to be 12 and up, only because we don't have a background history with her and children. So with our pit bulls, if you were interested, you do have to own your own home. She loves to go for walks. If you want to come down and meet Kahlua, you can give Forever Paws Animal Shelter a call to make an appointment to come and visit her. Also, we have more of our contact information on our foreverpaws.com website. It will show all of our adoptable animals, and there's also applications on there. You can either print them out or you can email or fax them over to us. All that contact information will be right on our site. So definitely give us a call to meet Kahlua, because I know she'll love to meet you and it'll be hard not to fall in love with her.
Today we have Churro. Churro is a 6-month-old domestic short-haired tabby kitten. Churro would do good in any home. She would do good with kids, I would think, of any age. She's very playful. She's a typical kitten. She likes to get into everything. She's very curious. She is a talker. From the minute you come in the morning, she starts talking, and I don't know why she's not talking now, because she's out of the cage. She does like being held, but not for long periods of time, because she just wants to play and explore. So if you'd like to meet little Mr. Churro, come on down to 300 Linwood Street, Forever Paws Animal Shelter. He would love to meet you.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great Mother's Day for the mothers who may be watching tonight, and we'll see you next Thursday.